Did you know that the simple act of getting out of bed 2, 3, or more times a night to go to the bathroom not only robs you of sleep, but is also the biggest risk factor for serious falls, hip fractures, and long-term memory loss? If you, like 7 out of 10 adults over 60, feel held hostage by your bladder after dark, if the frustration of counting sheep at 3 in the morning while your body begs for a break is part of your routine, let me tell you something. It's not just a quirk of old age, and most importantly, there's a solution. I'm Dr. Elena Castillo, and throughout my career, I've heard this same complaint, this same nightly anguish, countless times. It's not just about the bladder, it's about regaining energy, vitality, and, above all, confidence in your own home. Many of my patients, now over 70, assumed that nocturia, that's the term for waking up to urinate, was simply inevitable. But the risk goes far beyond fatigue. When we get up in the dark, disoriented from interrupted sleep, the chances of tripping increase dramatically, jeopardizing our independence and our health. Today, we're going to debunk the myths about hydration and reveal the water strategy, a simple sequence of urologically proven habits that will allow you to drink the right amount throughout the day, keeping your body hydrated while ensuring your kidneys get a break when you do. Get ready to transform your nights. Let me begin by debunking the most pernicious myth I encounter in my practice. Many of my patients, with the best intentions of making up for the water they forgot to drink during the day, overdo it with fluid intake right after dinner or worse, immediately before going to bed. They think that by avoiding water after 6 p.m., they've solved the problem, but in reality, if they drink the missing liter at 8 p.m., they're guaranteeing to wake up in the middle of the night. This is a double mistake. First, daytime dehydration is dangerous and affects concentration and kidney health. Second, the body needs at least 3 to 4 hours to process any significant amount of fluid and move it through the circulatory system until the kidneys filter it. If you go to bed at 10 p.m., everything you drank at 7:30 p.m. is still in transit, waiting to be eliminated. Furthermore, it's not just plain water we should be monitoring. If you're someone who enjoys a cup of herbal tea, decaf coffee late in the day, or worse, a glass of wine to unwind, you should understand that these liquids are powerful diuretics. They actively stimulate your kidneys to work overtime, precisely when your body's natural hormones should be suppressing urine production. This is the crucial first step in regaining control. That's why the water strategy starts with the A for early administration. This is the cornerstone. It means that 80% of your total daily fluid intake should be completed before 5 p.m. It's not about drinking less, but about drinking wisely and at the right time. This gives your kidneys the necessary leeway to do their job before you go to bed. What does this look like in practice? In practice, this means making the morning and midday your main hydration windows. Think of it like filling up a car's tank. We don't just refuel at the last minute. The key is to start the day with a large glass of water as soon as you wake up, ideally before your first dose of caffeine. We want to ensure your main intake between breakfast and lunchtime. To visualize this, I suggest using a large water bottle, perhaps a liter or a liter and a half, and aiming to empty it completely before noon. A real-life example. I had a patient, an executive in his mid-50s, who used to drink large amounts of water right before dinner because he realized he'd been too busy to drink during the day. By shifting that volume from 8 p.m. to 10 a.m., his number of nighttime awakenings dropped from 3 to 1 in just 2 weeks. It's a subtle change, but the impact on the kidneys' cycle is profound. And, of course, after 5 p.m., the rule is strict. Only small sips to moisten your mouth, if necessary, or to take your medication. Absolutely no large glasses of liquid and, crucially, total restriction on any diuretic beverages, including decaffeinated coffee, tea, and even hot chocolate. We're giving your bladder a well-deserved rest so that, when you go to bed, your system is mostly empty. With early management under control, we move on to the G for dinner management, the second pillar. And this is where we often neglect how solid foods can sabotage our sleep just as much as liquids. Dinner management is critical because it's not just the water you drink that matters, but also the water your body is forced to retain. The main enemy here is sodium. If you have a habit of eating heavy, highly seasoned, or highly processed meals for dinner, like pizza, fast food, or even canned soups, you're loading your system with a huge dose of salt. What does sodium do? It acts like a sponge. During the day, if you're sitting or standing, sodium causes your body to retain fluids, often manifesting as slight swelling in your ankles or legs, peripheral edema. But when you lie down at night and your legs are at the same level as your heart, that retained fluid is suddenly released, flooding your bloodstream. Your kidneys, working hard, quickly process this flood, and your bladder receives the urgent signal that it needs to be emptied. To counteract this, we have 2 golden rules. First, eat dinner at least 3 hours before bedtime. Second, your dinner should be the lowest sodium meal of the day. One case I vividly recall is that of a retired teacher who ate instant noodle soup every night. It was easy and light, she thought. By replacing that ultra-salty soup with a fresh salad and a small portion of lean protein, we observed a dramatic reduction in the swelling in her ankles and, consequently, in her trips to the bathroom. In addition to salt, it's essential to consider the A for diuretic foods. There are foods that, while healthy, have a high water content and natural diuretic properties. Consuming them at night is essentially like drinking large glasses of liquid without realizing it. What do I mean? Think of watermelon, cantaloupe, cucumber, pineapple, or even a large salad with plenty of celery and tomato. These foods are great for hydration and nutrition throughout the day, but if you eat them after 6 or 7 in the evening, you're challenging your bladder to work overtime precisely when it needs to rest. Imagine that you, with the best intentions of eating lightly, prepare a large bowl of melon and berries for dessert. Although it's nutritious and low in calories, your body interprets it similarly to drinking half a liter of pure water that needs to be filtered and expelled before you enter a deep sleep. The key, once again, is timing. If you enjoy these water-rich fruits or vegetables, do so before mid-afternoon. This gives your urinary system enough time to complete its filtration and emptying process before you go to bed. If your nighttime craving is uncontrollable, opt for drier foods with less of a diuretic effect, such as a small portion of nuts or a whole wheat cracker. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate these healthy foods from your diet, but rather to adjust when you eat them to support your sleep cycle. We're designing a strategy that synchronizes your nutrition with your chronobiology. Now, let's move on to the third crucial dietary factor on our list, which is often the most overlooked. BT, for beverages and hidden caffeine. The B for beverages encompasses much more than your morning cup of coffee. Let's talk first about the well-known culprits, alcohol and caffeine. If you're prone to nighttime sleepiness, both are sworn enemies of a restful night. The mechanism is twofold. Alcohol, for example, suppresses vasopressin, the antidiuretic hormone that signals your kidneys to retain fluids while you sleep. Without this hormone functioning properly, your kidneys work overtime, constantly filling your bladder. That's why, even after just a couple of drinks, disrupted sleep is almost inevitable. As for caffeine, the story is more complex. Not only does it act as a diuretic, increasing urine production, but it's also a direct irritant to the bladder muscle. Even a small residual dose in your system after dinner can cause spasms or a feeling of urgency, even if your bladder isn't completely full. But here's the crucial point: hidden caffeine. Think dark chocolate, certain colas, and even some over-the-counter pain relievers that contain caffeine. Many people assume they've quit coffee, but they're consuming a steady trickle of this stimulant from other sources late into the night. And let's not forget certain herbal teas labeled as digestive that actually contain black or green tea, both of which have significant caffeine content. We must read labels with a critical eye. My recommendation is simple yet powerful. Restrict your caffeine and alcohol intake, ideally 4 to 6 hours before bedtime. If you want to drink something warm in the evening, opt for genuinely relaxing, non-diuretic herbal infusions, such as chamomile or valerian. This brings us to the second crucial component of this myth: fluid redistribution. The issue isn't just what we drink before bed, but how our bodies handle the fluids we've already accumulated during the day. Consider the effect of gravity. When we spend hours standing or sitting, fluids tend to pool in the lower body, in the legs and ankles, often manifesting as mild swelling or edema. These fluids are out of commission, temporarily held back by gravity. But the moment you lie flat in bed, this balance is disrupted. Gravity no longer holds that pool of fluid in your lower extremities. Those fluids quickly return to the bloodstream, dramatically increasing the volume your kidneys have to process all at once. The body interprets this return as excess volume that must be expelled immediately. And that's when the kidneys start working overtime, producing large volumes of urine while you try to sleep. Therefore, a key strategy is not only to limit nighttime fluid intake, but also to help your body recirculate those fluids during the day. If you suffer from swollen ankles at the end of the day, it's very likely that some of the nocturia you experience is caused by this return home phenomenon of fluids. The solution requires simple preventative measures. For example, wearing graduated compression stockings during the day can be extremely helpful, as they assist venous circulation and prevent fluid from accumulating in the first place. It's also important to take short breaks to elevate your legs above heart level a couple of times in the afternoon if your job requires you to stand or sit for long periods. We're talking about 5 to 10 minutes. You don't need a full nap. This simple act helps your kidneys process that excess fluid during the hours when you're awake and active, instead of forcing them to do so in the middle of the night. In addition to compression stockings and elevations, it's crucial to check for an underlying medical cause for this daytime fluid retention. Sometimes, bloating can be a sign of more serious heart or kidney problems, which, when treated, also resolve the nocturia. My role is to encourage her to see the body as an interconnected system. How we manage fluids during the day directly dictates the quality of our nighttime sleep. It's not a small bladder, but rather the amount of work we're putting on our kidneys. We've discussed the physical management of fluids. Now, we need to address hormonal control. Our bodies are marvels of biological engineering. When we sleep, the brain releases antidiuretic hormone, ADH, or vasopressin. This hormone's function is crucial. It instructs the kidneys to concentrate urine and drastically reduce nighttime production. This is what allows us to stay dry and uninterrupted for 7 or 8 hours. But what happens if we introduce something that deliberately sabotages this perfectly orchestrated system? This is where the myth that alcohol helps you fall asleep comes in. It's one of the most persistent and harmful misconceptions I see. While a drink might give us an initial feeling of relaxation that speeds us down to sleep, what happens beneath the surface is disastrous for restful sleep. Alcohol is a potent diuretic because it directly inhibits the release of that precious ADH. Without the signal to retain fluid, the kidneys accelerate urine production, forcing us to get up not just once, but perhaps 2 or 3 times, and with a considerable volume. This isn't just nocturia, it's guaranteed dehydration and sleep fragmentation. Alcohol isn't the only culprit in this hormonal sabotage. We must take a closer look at the other major disruptor of our fluid routine, caffeine. While caffeine doesn't directly inhibit ADH like alcohol, it does have a significant diuretic effect. Its mechanism is to accelerate blood flow to the kidneys and reduce the reabsorption of sodium and water, increasing urine production. The key here is timing. A cup of coffee at 8 a.m. has time to be processed, and elimination will occur during the daytime. A cup at 4 p.m., or even later, puts us at high risk of nocturia, precisely when ADH should be preparing to rise. This is crucial. The water strategy requires us to be aware of the total diuretic load we place on our system, and when we do it. It's not just about minimizing, but about getting ahead of it. By concentrating 75% of our total fluid intake, including broths, herbal teas, and plain water, before 4 p.m., we give our body an essential window of time, about 5 to 6 hours. This window allows the circulatory system, kidneys, esophagus, and bladder to complete their full cleansing and elimination cycle well before we lay our heads on the pillow, ensuring the system is calm and ready for vasopressin to do its job without interruption. When we go to bed with our fluid stores already full, we simply overload the system. If we go to bed with our fluid balance already managed and 75% processed, we are working in harmony with our biology. Let's talk now about the G for graduating the transition, the crucial point of the water strategy. After 4 p.m., we enter what we affectionately call the pauso, or landing phase. It's a powerful analogy. We've already flown during the day, high intake, and now it's time to slow down and lower our altitude for a smooth landing. This reduction needs to be drastic, almost a complete cessation, so that the kidneys have the necessary rest. The real challenge comes at dinner time. It's common for a meal, especially one containing salt or spices, to make us feel thirsty. This is where the bare minimum rule applies. If you eat dinner, for example, at 7 p.m. and go to bed at 10 p.m., you only have 3 hours for your body to process that liquid before vasopressin reaches its peak activity. Drinking a large glass or pint of water during dinner is intentionally sabotaging the work of your antidiuretic hormone, ADH. The minimum required is usually no more than half a small glass, about 100 to 120 milliliters, and it should be drunk slowly, just to aid swallowing and initial digestion. This is not a time to rehydrate. That work was done before 4 p.m. If you present your kidneys with a significant volume of fluid after 7 p.m., you are asking them to increase urine production precisely when they should be biologically beginning to concentrate it. It sends conflicting messages to the system. Graduation requires discipline, but the results, seeing the difference in your nighttime awakenings, are an immediate reward. We've navigated the science of chronohydration, understanding how vasopressin, ADH, governs our nighttime rest and why grading, that strict reduction of fluids, especially after 7 p.m., is essential for ensuring uninterrupted sleep. Always remember, proper hydration is a daytime marathon, not a nighttime sprint, and this conscious zoning of intake is key to supporting the kidney's natural concentrating cycle. Now, I'd like to hear from you. Which of these strategies, Zone 3 or the grading rule, will you apply first tonight to improve your rest? Share your experiences in the comments. If you find value in this connection between science, chronobiology, and wellness, please subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss our next in-depth analysis, and share this knowledge with anyone struggling with nighttime awakenings. Thank you for allowing me to be your guide on this journey to optimal health and restorative sleep. See you soon. With love, Dr. Elena Castillo.